Today I shall be talking on Rhinoceros by Eugene Ionesco. Eugene Ionesco, born in 1912 and he died in 1994. So, a fairly long life, and he achieved quite a lot in this span of life. Eugene Ionesco was born of a Romanian father and a French mother, and he spent quite a number of years in his early life in Romania, and then he shifted to France, and his literary achievements were made mostly in France. But while in Romania, he studied in the University of Bucharest and he studied French literature there. This Eugene Ionesco is definitely a very important name in modern drama. But, well, it is not very easy to say anything definite about Eugene Ionesco. To which category of dramatists does he belong? Does he belong to the school of absurd theatre, or did he evolve a new category himself? That is definitely a crucial point which has to be discussed here in the course of the lecture. And as I said, that my primary focus today is one particular play, Rhinoceros, which is definitely one of his significant plays. Rhinoceros has as its protagonist Berengar. This character Berengar is also a very interesting character in the sense that Berengar, that is, the name features in more than one play by Ionesco. So we have a number of Berengars. Now, are all these Berengars more or less the same in character and characteristics? That is definitely a question. And I shall try to touch upon this issue at least briefly. Berengar in Rhinoceros is a very unheroic character. He is rather timid, meek, cannot speak well. He doesn't have any status in the familiar sense of the word. He is, in fact, very often ridiculed by his own friend, Jean. Jean thinks that he is a very polished man, always correct. And Jean has achieved quite a lot in life. At least Jean thinks like that. And this Berengar loves a girl, a charming girl, Daisy, but Berengar is quite certain that Daisy will definitely not reciprocate, because Berengar has nothing. Why should Daisy be attracted to him? And Jean also points this out, that perhaps this Daisy likes another man, another colleague of the same place, of the same office where Berengar works, and he is Dudard. So Jean points out that Daisy is perhaps fond of Dudard, and perhaps Dudard and Daisy will marry. Berengar doesn't feel that he is crushed, because Berengar thinks that, well, this is something which is expected. Why should Daisy like me? Why should Daisy be attracted towards me? So Berengar is a timid man, at least in Rhinoceros. Berengar is a very timid man. Apparently at least he is very timid. But is he timid? But that is a different question. Before that, let us speak briefly on how to label Ionesco's play Rhinoceros, or is it at all necessary to label Ionesco's play Rhinoceros? Now, I was talking about the theatre of the absurd. In fact, well, Martin Esslin has a book of this name, The Theatre of the Absurd. Now, what is the theatre of the absurd? What does absurd mean? Absurd actually means something which is out of harmony. Especially in a musical context, absurd means something out of harmony, devoid of purpose. So absurd may suggest something which is devoid of purpose. And perhaps the concept of the absurd was raised by Albert Camus in his The Myth of Sisyphus. Now, well, what happens in Sisyphus's life? Sisyphus, in Camus' word, Sisyphus suddenly finds that, well, the work that he is doing, that he has been assigned to do, doesn't have any purpose. It does not have any purpose. And from there the question comes whether our life has any purpose. Now, absurdity may also suggest the absurdity of human condition. The human beings live in an absurd condition. Well, we do have an absurd predicament. So, the absurd drama, well, of course, has certain distinctive features. The absurd drama shows the human character in a condition which has practically no meaning. Human beings as if are put in an absurd situation. They can neither go forward nor can they come backward. As we see in Beckett's play Waiting for Godot, well, Godot never comes. Although the two characters on the stage, they wait for Godot. The little boy comes and tells them that Godot will not come today. But they wait and wait, and the little boy comes the next day and tells them Godot will not come today, but he will be perhaps coming the next day. So apparently, the condition of the two characters seems to be absurd. They are waiting as if without any purpose. So this is the condition of absurdity, purposeless. But can we or should we analyze Ionesco's play Rhinoceros in a similar way? We do have definitely questions, because perhaps Rhinoceros by Ionesco cannot be analyzed in similar terms. Yes, even in a typical absurd play, language doesn't serve its purpose. What is the purpose of language? The purpose of language is communication, but language does not serve its purpose of communication. In an absurd play, language becomes non-communicative. Does it happen in Ionesco's Rhinoceros? Perhaps it does not. Non-communication of language is not the major factor in Ionesco's Rhinoceros. And in Rhinoceros, Ionesco draws attention to the dramatic action, which may be funny and very often, which may be cruel. But the impact of the play is unresolved illogicality. Well, that is the impact of the play, but we cannot say that language here doesn't serve its purpose of communication. Absolutely, we cannot say that. In fact, another thing is said about Rhinoceros' play, Ionesco's play Rhinoceros. That is that Rhinoceros doesn't have any plot. There is a complete rejection of plot in Rhinoceros. Yes, in the conventional sense, there is no plot. But then, although the end is unresolved, there is a story, the story element is there, and UNESCO himself regretted later that the story element in his play Rhinoceros was rather prominent. So there is a prominent story element in Rhinoceros. We cannot say that, therefore, that Rhinoceros is a play which is absolutely plotless. So what is Rhinoceros? Now, the play begins and we see that, Berengar and Jean, they are talking, and the logician and the old gentleman, they are also talking. People are busy, and suddenly there is a hue and cry that a rhinoceros has been seen, or rather 2 rhinoceroses have been seen. And then, altercations are there. How can rhinoceros come? Some people say that this is imaginary. This is definitely an illusionary vision, because no rhinoceros can ever come to the city. But some others say that there is a possibility that rhinoceros may come. And then in the next act we see that there is one character, Mrs. Beauf. She comes to the office and says that her husband has been turned into a rhinoceros. Now, everybody is panicked. Now, in the earlier act, there was a little quarrel between Berengar and Jean, and Berengar goes to Jean's house to apologize, because Berengar, after all, is a meek man. He cannot quarrel. He goes to his friend's house to patch it up, but there he finds that Jean is also getting transformed into a rhinoceros. And then news begin to pour in that people are becoming rhinoceroses. Their boss Populon has become a rhinoceros, and other known people, familiar people, their colleagues, they are also getting transformed into rhinoceroses. And the people of the town are rather in a predicament. Daisy comes, and Daisy tries to console Berengar. She comes with food for Berengar, and here we can perhaps guess something different, that perhaps Daisy had some soft corner for Berengar. But gradually all people are getting transformed into rhinoceroses. At the end of the play, there is only one left, that is Berengar himself. 7 except Berengar, everyone else has become a rhinoceros. And what will be the predicament of Berengar then? That is this is in brief the story of the play. So can we say that there is an absolute rejection of plot, because the story element, as Ionescu himself had admitted, was rather prominent, rather strong in the play? Now, what is this rhinoceros? Critics have often said that Ionescu created a new type of play, which is not actually the absurd theatre, but something else, and it is a theatre of political awareness. So, rhinoceros should be taken as a symbol. Well, that is true perhaps, but we cannot say that the play is absolutely plotless. The human beings are left in a rather improbable universe. They are in a predicament which cannot be explained by them. And should we call that absurdity, or should we call that something else? We do not know. So, can we say that Rhinoceros is a play which tries to investigate the ultimate realities of human condition? We do not know. We may say that also, that the play tries to investigate the ultimate realities of human condition. And well, that is definitely one point where we may try to discuss. But as I said in the beginning, that there are other Berenger plays. Well, the killer is another play where the central character is Berenger, and there also, well, Berenger confronts the killer. But what will happen? The play remains, the end remains unresolved. We do not know what will happen. Will the killer ultimately kill Berenger, or will the killer be convinced by the arguments of Berenger and change himself? As in this play, Rhinoceros, we do not know what will happen. Will Berenger be a rhinoceros himself, leaving no human beings left? Or what will happen? We do not know. At one point in the play, Rhinoceros, Berenger and Daisy, they were talking, and when all others had become rhinoceroses, they were talking, and they were trying to have hope in the thought that perhaps they too might try to redeem the world, because at least a male and a female were there, and they would procreate, and a new human race will come up. So there at one point at least, well, Berenger and Daisy had been talking of hope, but finally we find that, well, perhaps no hope is left. And as I say, the final resolution never comes. We never know what will happen. Will Berenger be transformed into a rhinoceros, or will he remain the only human being in the world of rhinoceroses? And in that situation too, the predicament of Berenger will be definitely a critical one. And here in the killer too, we do not know whether the killer will kill Berenger, or whether Berenger would finally be able to convince the killer to come back to the mainstream of life. Another Berenger is there in UNESCO's Exit the King. In Exit the King, well, the ailing king, the king is 400 years old, but at last, well, he has to accept that he must die. So, this Berenger is a different Berenger perhaps, but can we not find a connection among these three Berengers? Now, this Berenger, Berenger in Rhinoceros, or rather the play itself, Rhinoceros, how can we discuss the play? Well, how can we analyze the play? Well, does it indicate that finally, power will destroy human civilization? An evil power will come and destroy human civilization? Or does it point out something else? Is the play an intermingling of comic elements and tragic elements? What can we say about the world of Berenger and the world of the rhinoceroses? The world of Berenger and the world of the rhinoceroses, are they absolute binaries? Meaning, if Berenger is there, still the hope for the human race is there. But if the rhinoceroses overpower Berenger, then the human civilization or human existence will be extinct. So, can we say that Berenger and rhinoceros are absolute binaries? Perhaps. Well, we do not have any final answer to this. And we do not know what will happen in the end. There is an uncertainty, as uncertainty is there in the killer. Similarly, uncertainty is there here in this play, Rhinoceros. Now, another thing I just want to point out to you, that is the final question about this rhinoceros, which I started to raise in the beginning of the lecture. Can we include rhinoceros in the category of the theatre of the absurd? Now, we all know the names of Kafka, Beckett, and Pinter, and as I have said already, that absurd may mean out of harmony, absurd may mean devoid of purpose. So, absurd may mean the absurdity of human situation. Now, Ionesco did not favor perhaps the term absurd. He perhaps wanted to say that, or wanted to state that he was anti-theatre. He was anti-theatre. So, the theatrical devices he wanted to denounce and present something else. But can we say that this rhinoceros is totally devoid of theatrical devices? Perhaps that we cannot say. Another question has been raised. Can we call Berenger a type of everyman? a non-interested person, very indifferent. He is almost a nobody in his office. He doesn't have, as I told you earlier also, he doesn't have any special status, and but well, he is indifferent about himself. So is he an everyman? And can we say that Jean is Berenger's foil? He is a cultured man, he is arrogant, he is proud. And what about the logician? Well, the logician whom we saw in the first scene, well, he poses that he knows everything, but he appears only in Act 1. And well, actually, it is not possible to know everything. The reality is that in the long run, we prove to ourselves that we know nothing. Daisy is Berenger's love, and well, she is also not committed to anything. But well, she is only one who has emotion. Berenger doesn't seem to have emotion. Jean doesn't seem to have emotion. Only, well, Daisy seems to have emotion. And well, what does this Ionesco want to do with the introduction of the character of Daisy? Does he want to point out that emotion can never be absolutely lost? So emotion will be there, and so long as emotion is there, perhaps human predicament or human destiny is not all lost. Now, we cannot say with certainty that Rhinoceros, the play, does not have any plot. Nor can we say that Rhinoceros, the play, does not use language for the purpose of communication, or rather, language is absolutely non-communicative in Rhinoceros. Can we say that? We perhaps cannot say that. So, we cannot say any final word about Ionesco's Rhinoceros. And well, Ionesco labeled his first play, The Bald Soprano, as anti-play. But so far as Rhinoceros is concerned, we cannot say that it is absolutely anti-play. It is absolutely devoid of traditional theatrical devices. Well, it does not have a proper plot. It does not have the plot of a well-made play. It is true. It does not have a traditional hero. That is also true. It does not have any climax, nor does it have any final resolution. That is true. Nor does it have a quest theme. But still, well, we cannot call this play, Rhinoceros, an absurd play, in the sense plays of Pinter and Beckett are. And we can say that Rhinoceros is a different kind of a play. Well, in Rhinoceros, UNESCO tried to do something different, definitely something different. And finally, I shall say that, as some critics have pointed out, that there is a search for self in the plays of UNESCO, but it is not simply the search for self. It is a search for death, it is a search for evil, and it is also a search for political and social ills. In fact, the symbolism in the play must not be ignored or forgotten. Well, we have to remember that UNESCO had experienced the totalitarianism of the Nazis, and it is possible that in Rhinoceros he symbolically presents this threat of Nazi totalitarianism. There is only one opinion, there is only one view, and everybody must contribute to that, must subscribe to that. Otherwise, there is no escape. So everyone becomes Rhinoceros. Everyone will look alike. Everyone will have the same opinion. But Berengar, till the end of the play, is not converted into a rhinoceros. So maybe hope is there. No totalitarian government or no totalitarian power can be absolute for any length of time. So hope for human beings still exists. Maybe that through Berengar we can derive that hope, that assurance from the play. Now, another thing before I end, defiance and conformation are both absurd. Can we defy absolutely? If we try to defy absolutely, that becomes absurd. I must have misgivings. I must question, but I cannot absolutely defy, as I must not totally conform. So we have to understand this, that total defiance and total conformation are both absurd, and that is there in Ionesco's play. And human beings perhaps cannot agree to either. So incapability of human condition is shown in Rhinoceros by UNESCO. And the rhinoceros may be a syndrome. The rhinoceros may be explained as a syndrome, the syndrome of collective hysteria precipitated by fascist ideology. So maybe that in his play Rhinoceros, UNESCO wants to convey this. Some collective hysteria crops up in the human mind, but that cannot stay for an absolute length of time. That must end somewhere, or rather, we must have hope that that will end. At least Berenger is there, who is not converted into a rhinoceros. And this play apparently remains unresolved because question must be there. Thank you.